Hey, what's up? This is Joe. Join me in this video as I scratch out a minimalist existence in the dark and mysterious woods of southern Appalachia. Camping for free in the Jefferson National Forest. Sitting down for a few of my all-time favorite Vagabond gourmet recipes.
That is far more chipotles than I need.
And ultimately getting back on my bike for a long ride through the mountains as I reminisce about my experiences growing up in this strange and unusual corner of the United States. Be sure to stay tuned till the end for a truly bone-chilling Appalachian ghost story. From an early age, I'd learned to love and appreciate being in the woods of my native Virginia. I had a lot of fond memories going camping, hunting, fishing, and otherwise running amok in these very mountains. I was now back in my Honda Element, and after finishing up the day's chores in town, I headed back into the woods as quickly as possible. All right, it's been alternating pouring down rain versus sunny versus sprinkling a little bit. So I've mostly just been sitting in there trying to get a video done, but it's getting late and I got a steak I got to cook. So since I got some rays of sunshine poking through there, I'm going to go ahead and do that and hopefully not get wet. And right when I said that, it started raining again. The cool thing about the tailgate is it sort of covers, or this top hatch kind of covers the tailgate. All right, got actually kind of a weird sear on it. I think the pan was a little too hot. So it's not going to be the best steak, but hey, I'll take it. And I'm going to get some of my garlic parmesan butter, which has been sitting at room temperature for the last 36 hours. And I have no doubt that it is still absolutely good because it's really salty. That's, I guess, a tip is like use salted butter, because salted butter will just keep indefinitely. A little bit of butter steak. Ooh, yeah. Oh man, lightning has been crashing down all around the car. It's kind of freaky, and it's one of the freakiest aspects about camping in a tent, because you get in some nasty storms. I mean, I've been in some just horrific storms in a tent, and it really sucks. But in a vehicle, it sort of acts kind of like a Faraday cage in that it sort of is going to direct the current, if you get struck by lightning, kind of around you. It's still a little freaky, honestly, but you should be freaked out about it because instinctually, humans are not supposed to just be willy-nilly hanging out in thunderstorms. Oh man, I can't tell if that's hail or just heavy raindrops. I think it's just raindrops. We don't tend to get a lot of hail out here in the east, and if we do, it's pretty small. It does have kind of a metallic ring to it. Kind of freaky to have that moonroof right there and be looking up at that. I had a physical therapy appointment the next afternoon, which forced me to venture back into civilization. While I was there, I made a few phone calls and bought enough food and water to last a couple of days in the woods. By the time I returned, the gorgeous spot I'd painstakingly found earlier had already been taken. Well, unfortunately, somebody's in my beautiful spot up there that I've been staying for the last couple nights. And it's great because there's one bar of service up there, which is good for making calls and checking emails and stuff like that. So I'm in a lower spot, or a lesser spot, I should say, but it's still absolutely beautiful. People always ask if I see a lot of snakes while out in the woods. The truth is that snakes are highly perceptive and avoid humans at all costs. Just imagine for a second that you're walking along minding your own business when suddenly you hear the thunderous steps of a giant approaching. From your perspective, he's about 200 feet tall. You don't know if he eats your species or not, but his enormous feet are headed your way. The only thing in the form of a weapon you have just happens to be a couple of hypodermic syringes filled with a vile concoction of toxic venom. You do your best to stay out of sight, but if he comes this way, so help you God. Well, that's basically the perspective of a snake, a venomous one anyway. The fact is, I almost never see them. In this spot, however, I saw several. There's another little snake. Looking kind of fat. Most snakes are pretty good about hearing you coming and getting out of the way, which is why I'm not usually worried about them. That is the second one that I've seen in this little stretch of road, so I'm going to kind of watch where I step, I think, because this is definitely copperhead looking territory. Anyway, I got some of these burgers. I'm just going to cook these up, throw some cheese on them. Got some of this apple smoked cheese and some chipotle peppers. Wind is definitely coming from that way, so I'm just going to put this operation on the other side of the farm. All right, now I got those chipotles cooking up in that rendered beef fat. All the delicious stuff off the bottom of the pan is kind of melting into the sauce. That is far more chipotles than I need. I was in the mood for spicy food, but I don't know how far I'm willing to go. Oh, this is looking good. It has been a long day. Well, it's not the prettiest dish in the world, but it'll just have to do. Basically, in the Mexican section, you can find chipotle sauce in a can, and you can find chipotle peppers. But these are the whole peppers are where it's at. So, oh yeah. That'll wake you up. All right, I gotta say, this spot actually worked out pretty well. This is a lot closer to the creek than the other spot. No cell signal to speak of, but if I hike about a good half a mile into the woods that way, there's like a clearing where I've got one bar. So went up there this morning, kind of hiked around and answered some messages on YouTube. I'll point out too that with this car, it sleeps best if you got the nose of the car kind of going uphill. Otherwise, it's just not perfectly level. But for some reason, doing that just kind of makes it almost perfectly level in the back. Now, as you can see, for the daytime, I got it set up more like a living room type of a thing. And the rug was really, I mean, just one of those little things that, well, it kind of ties the room together, if you get my drift. All right, had this that my mom gave me, which is this portable fan that's rechargeable, and it's got a solar panel on the back. I don't know how effective that solar panel is going to be in charging it, but I had the fan running all night and it's still 100%, so it's also a light. The way to do this is to have it where it's like hanging from the ceiling somehow, but you can also charge stuff off of it, you know, with the USB right there. So it is a pretty cool little thing. All right, I think I rigged it up where that'll work. I wouldn't really want to drive with it like that, but there's a little hook on the back that probably not meant to exactly go like that, but I think it'll work as long as it doesn't fall on my head in the middle of the night, which will kind of suck, but that'll give me a reading light because my head's going to be, well, directly under that, pretty much. Being as I was totally alone out here, the vibe was starting to get pretty damn weird. So I sat down with my guitar in an effort to cast away those lonesome vagabond blues. So anyway, my reality right now is this creek, because it is bath time yet again. I'm not crazy about it, but at least the temperature is warmer than it has been, so it's got to be in the high 60s at this point, which can feel pretty hot if you're in the direct sun. So it's perfect weather to jump into some absolutely frigid, freezing cold water like this. It's a weird looking creek, man, where it's kind of a sort of a long series of waterfalls, kind of like that. I haven't really seen a good swimming hole. I am being careful for snakes around here, particularly water moccasins and copperheads, because this is just, I mean, there's no seeing them in this leaf litter, and they tend to congregate exactly in places like this next to a body of water. Ambush predators, just waiting for the wrong little mammal to walk by. All right, that's not a terrible spot right there. It's gonna be a little tricky getting down in there, but I think it's doable. It's got a bottom of soggy, dirty leaves. Whoa! Man, sunk down in there quite a bit. Not as cold as I thought it would be. No easy way to do this. Oh, it's the hardest part. Oh. Once the belly's in, you're usually pretty good. Oh, man. Ooh. Woo! Woo! Oh, boy. Woo! Woo! What? Ah. Whoa! Whoa! Man, as bad as that was, it was a million times easier than the other day. All of a sudden these flies found me. I don't know what that's all about. But yeah, I think once you get that first one of the season out of the way, all the rest of them are a lot easier. It doesn't hurt that the sun's out. Look at that, an enormous crayfish. If I wanted to, I could probably find a mess of these and fry them up. But I've got other plans for dinner. All right, speaking of dinner, I think I'm about ready for mine. It's a little bit early, but I'm pretty hungry, so I'll probably eat this now and then get a little snack later. Flat iron steak, basically that's been sitting in my cooler bag, that one right there, for over 24 hours now. And I put a couple of bags of these frozen broccoli florets in there, or florets, however you say that, florets. So I'm just going to cook the steak, throw some broccoli on there, and fry it up. It's still kind of cool to the touch. All right, man, that is looking pretty good. It's a lot of food, but it's pretty much all the food I have, aside from some snacks and beef jerky and stuff. So I think it's about 4 p.m. This will probably do me for the rest of the day. Let's see. This is definitely some rugged terrain, as you can see. All right, I lost my warm toboggan, and it's driving me absolutely nuts. I've been all over these woods, hiking around looking for it. It must have fallen out of my pocket. That's the only thing I can think, because I already tore the car completely apart from top to bottom, and I just don't see it. Could be anywhere out here. We are in the woods. Really like that toboggan. I think I'm gonna hike back up to the hill where I was using the cell signal earlier. Maybe it's up there. I don't know. I got a lot of steps to backtrack. Not the easiest place to find a lost toboggan. This is stuff I don't know why I'm even recording, but I guess it's kind of everyday life type of stuff. I'd much rather lose my toboggan than my keys. That's rotten. All right, come on. Man, definitely getting my steps in. So this is kind of a pass, 2-track, sort of. It's currently closed to vehicles. So it's really more of a trail at this point, but just around this bend up there is a pretty good signal. Yes, there she is. I thought I'd lost it forever. You know, I was pretty much resigning myself to the very real possibility of never seeing this again. I don't have a lot of possessions in this world, but when I lose one of them, it bothers me for a long time. Anyway, since I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and hike to the Wi-Fi place. Oh, about another third of a mile, I guess. This whole adventure with the toboggan made me realize I'm gonna have to really get rid of some stuff. Even though that element is comfortable, it's kind of cramped. So yeah, this little clearing, for whatever reason, you get a bar or two up here. Oh man, beautiful. Yeah, this kind of freaks me out walking through all stuff like this. It's gonna get really worse once it turns green. Somebody started a fire right there. That's a terrible spot. I would not want to camp there. No trees at all. At this point, I was still chipping away at a maintenance checklist for the car, and when the weekend rolled around, I headed over to Zach's place to change the transmission fluid. All right, there she is. The fluid looks nice and reddish pink, which I think is good. There's the end of the plug where it's definitely picked up some crud and just metal particulate type of matter, but I don't see any like big chunks of anything. But the end of that is boogered all to hell. That transmission level was pretty low. What we took out of there was like 1.5 quarts and put in a little over 3 quarts. So it was definitely low. There's a very specific way to check the fluid in this car that I didn't know about. Basically, you're supposed to actually start the car, let it get to normal operating temperature, shift through all the gears, turn it off, wait 60 seconds, but no longer than 90 seconds. And that's how you get the most accurate reading, according to the owner's manual. So I had checked it before a couple of times and seen a little bit on the end of the dipstick. I didn't really think anything of it, but I really had no idea that it was that low. So the total capacity that it holds is something like 6 or 7 quarts, but just draining it out like I did, you're only going to be taking out at the most 3 quarts at a time, and then the rest kind of stays in other parts of the transmission. So I think the plan is to sort of drive it around, let this fluid circulate, drive it for another couple of weeks, and then go ahead and change the fluid again. And I think at that point it'll be pretty much good to go, probably for another 30 to 40,000 miles. Anyway, the fun never ends. By the time I finished up in town, the sun was hanging low in the west, and I still hadn't had my dinner. I headed over to the city of Radford to look for a quiet spot where I could chill out and do some cooking. All right, so that's the New River right there. That water is absolutely crystal clear. But anyway, this is the city of Radford. And I'm just hanging out today in this beautiful park out here. Really big, sort of a sprawling city park. Absolutely gorgeous. As cold as it was last night in the woods, this is pretty nice. Anyway, I've just been kind of hanging out here. Just posted a video about 20 minutes ago. So I think in order to celebrate, I'm gonna do a little bit of the Vagabond gourmet. So basically what we have here are the makings for a pasta sauce alla puttanesca. Pasta puttanesca is very similar to Provençal, which is from a region in France. Basically I got the garlic, sliced olives, capers, anchovies, some Italian tomatoes, and crushed red pepper and Parmesan cheese. And over in this corner we have some discounted ground beef. And so being on this kind of carnivore keto diet, you know, I have to kind of get creative for ways to keep it interesting and delicious. I don't know if this is going to be any good. Actually, yes, I do. It's going to be awesome. Let's be positive. All right, so for this, I actually got the whole garlic. I much prefer, even though it's a pain in the ass, the actual garlic and going through and mincing it yourself just seems to be a lot more delicious, flavorful. So that's what we're doing, even though it's a pain in the ass. All right, nice big garlic cloves. One thing about garlic, it keeps all the vampires away, along with most of the females, unless they're Italian. I dated an Italian girl in my early 20s, and boy, what an experience that was. She was always cooking some kind of delicious recipe she'd learned from her grandma. It was an experience to say the least. I'm gonna go ahead and chop these up now, even though I'm breaking my rule of not cutting into my pan. I need to get a cutting board now that I have a car and can carry more stuff. But I'm still treating this as a temporary thing and really intending to get back on a motorcycle full time very, very soon. Along with Italians, the Vietnamese really love garlic, and in a lot of places you'll see as a condiment, they've just got like a container with freshly chopped up garlic just sitting there for you to add into your noodle soup or whatever. All right, we got some nice pungent garlic right here. That's about to the extent that I'm gonna chop this up, simply because I'm not crazy about the idea of eating a bunch of plastic shavings off of this plate. And I think if I sat there and really minced it up, it would just be full of plastic. All right, I'm gonna get some of my coconut oil, which is the only oil I carry around. I guess olive oil would be a lot more authentic, but this is what I got. All right, so I'm gonna get a nice hot pan. Put my garlic in, that oil. Throw about half these anchovies in there. I guess if you don't like anchovies, you could skip this step, but now the idea is just to kind of very carefully fry the garlic and the anchovies until you get kind of a golden brown color on it, but not so much that it turns bitter, because if it's overcooked, it's just horrible. And boy, it takes a lot of trial and error to get this right. I don't know how much garlic I've screwed up in my life trying to get it just perfect, but
That's getting pretty darn close. It's getting kind of golden without being burned.
So the next step, very important. I learned this from my ex-Italian girlfriend. She said what her grandma used to do is fry the garlic and then take it out of the pan, but leave the oil behind. And this keeps the garlic from getting tough later on in the recipe. And now it's basically garlic and anchovy infused oil, which might sound terrible to some people, but trust me, when you add anchovies correctly as a cooking ingredient, it adds a depth of flavor that you just cannot get from any other method. All right, get my stove going again. Now, I can go ahead and add this ground beef. I think my stove is starting to run out of gas, making this a little interesting. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and season this up with some salt and give it just a little sprinkle of garlic powder. I'm gonna add some more stuff to it later. And this beef was like so super lean that there's hardly any rendered fat in the pan, so I don't really see any need to drain it.
All right, so now that I've finally got that ground beef pretty much browned all the way through, so I'm going to very carefully go about adding my tomatoes, olives, some of that red pepper, and all my capers, garlic, and anchovies. All right, I went ahead and moved this operation over to the grill where it's kind of, the stove seems to be a little bit more protected from the wind. I'm getting a much better result, and it's a lot more stable. So.
Let's see what we got here. That's awesome. The capers and the tomatoes are really tangy, and you got the spiciness from the red pepper flakes. Only very, very slightly subtly fishy from all those anchovies. Like, you really don't even notice them. Camping overnight in the park was totally out of the question, so I drove around for a while scouting out different parking lots where I could put up the shades and get a few hours of sleep. I checked out another Walmart, but the parking lot sucked, so ultimately I ended up back at the one where I stayed the previous week. All right, home is where you park it, apparently, in a Honda Element. This is one of the nicer Walmart parking lots that I've come across. I've looked at a couple others and really wasn't crazy about them. Either they're too close to the interstate or there's just nowhere kind of out of the way. This has this whole auxiliary parking area right here. I guess it's used for employee parking and a lot of campers and stuff like that too. I think there's 3 campers over there. Stayed here last week and nobody bothered me, so I'm guessing that'll be the case again. It's super quiet. Now I'm going to get my reflective pieces on here. These are the ones that I put the black tape on the one side. Make it look a little less conspicuous. Get my blackout curtains up for the front. All right, and that's it. Got basically those 3 windows and the blackout curtains in front. I think last time I was here, I just left that moonroof blackout panel off. Anyway, just going to kind of sit here and read my book, and we'll see you in the morning. All right, it's about 7:30 now. Slept like a rock. I really sleep really well in this Walmart parking lot. And of course, the moonroof is nice because basically when I open my eyes, that's what I look up and see. Actually, this morning when I opened my eyes, I looked up and saw nothing but darkness because it was still pretty early. But anyway, there's a homeless guy sleeping under that tree, which is amazing to me because the temperature got down into the 30s last night. I mean, even with a warm sleeping bag, which he seems to have, I would still be freezing my nuts off because there's just no way when it gets past a certain temperature to ever really get 100% completely warm. So anyway, he seems to have survived and is on the other side of that tree, but didn't bother me at all. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead now and take off all of my window shades and that blackout curtain, get started with my day, get some coffee. Man, that has got to be cold, because I was cold and I got all this insulation, warm blankets and everything else. All right, back home. I'm going to take this out just so she doesn't start getting jealous. Not that I would ever anthropomorphize an inanimate object. I would never do that or attribute any kind of like human qualities or particularly female qualities onto a piece of machinery. But anyway, they do get jealous. Shoulder's feeling good, so got to do some grocery shopping, do a couple other things in town, and save on some gas money. Seems legit. Actually, that's very legit. Got some big timbers used in this construction. It's I believe they call that the North Fork of the Roanoke River, I guess. Oh man, railing's a little rickety. All right, first time off-road, and I guess about close to 4.5 months. I've been hitherto paranoid as shit about riding on any kind of gravel or dirt whatsoever, but the shoulder's been feeling well enough lately that I feel like I can do more and more. So I'm just going to kind of keep sort of taking it easy and then just baby steps, until I'm basically doing what I used to be doing. Over the years, I'd had a whole lot of history in these parts, some of it good and some of it not so good. Being back reminded me of one truly horrifying incident in particular, the story of the haunted trailer. Now
Now this, my friends, is about as serious backwoods Appalachia as you could possibly find anywhere. When I was 20 years old, I rented a rickety old single-wide trailer out here way up on a hill, not far from the super authentic Long Island style pizza joint I used to work at. As to just why there was a super authentic Long Island style pizza joint up here of all places, I'll leave that to your imagination. Most of the staff had come down from either Jersey or New York, and there was a rumor going around that some, if not all, of the employees were in the witness protection program. I kept my mouth shut, made the pizza, ignored the excessive gambling going on around me, and we all got along fine. I took an extreme amount of pride in working there, as the quality of the food was unparalleled. Probably picked up a couple of bad habits too. So anyway, I'm renting this trailer from this local guy, and there's a pipe coming out of the hill which shot out crystal clear spring water, the best you've ever tasted. The guy told me some of the people living in the surrounding hills would be coming by periodically to fill up their water jugs, and let me tell you, even for me being from this area, there were some characters. What he didn't tell me was that the last guy who'd rented the place had taken his own life in the bedroom, which I found out later from my boss at the pizza joint. In an amazing twist of irony, it turned out that the very same guy had been working at the pizza joint for years, doing the exact same job as me. Now I had his job and was living in his trailer, and there was nothing even remotely weird about that. The Italian girlfriend I mentioned earlier in the video came to visit me there a few times, but I don't think she liked it very much. Eventually I moved into her place, which was when things really went sideways, but that's a story for another day. I don't think I ever really got a full night of sleep in that trailer. I always slept on the futon in the living room, which was marginally less creepy, but there was a sense of being swallowed alive by the walls. One day there was a blizzard that kept me trapped inside for days, and I almost lost it. It was clear that this was a place of lingering, unresolved suffering, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't stop thinking about the guy who'd made that horrible decision. It was almost as if whatever demons had tormented him in life were still hanging around, just waiting to cast misery on the next unfortunate soul. When I finally got out of there, I slept like a baby. If you look off to my left, you can see the very site where that trailer was. It's since been thankfully torn down and replaced with another trailer, but I still get the creeps even riding past it. I can't even explain what it was like living in that place. In spite of, or because of, the myriad experiences I had growing up here, being back in these mountains was a deeply rich, nostalgic experience. As I was riding off, I thought about my grandfather, the man who'd first instilled in me a great love of the outdoors. Loved ones pass away, but their memories live on. With that being said, I'd really love to hear about some of your experiences where you grew up, anyone who was a profound influence on your life, and any bizarre experiences you've had along the way. It's precisely those things that ultimately shape who we become and play a vital role in determining our destiny upon this planet. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe. And as usual, I've included an optional donate link in the drop box below for anyone who might like to contribute to this project. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the road.